It was a discovery no one could have imagined. A young woman's life, full of promise, cut short in the most brutal of ways. On November 28, 2020, the city of Houston was rocked by the mysterious death of 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey, a rising star on Instagram. Known for her beauty, success, and vibrant personality, she had captured the attention of thousands of followers. But behind the curated perfection, a dark storm was brewing, one that would tragically end her life.
He's dickless on the case, with a donut in hand and a smirk on his face. Crimes to solve, stacks to bunch, crack the case right after lunch. Oh, trouble's near, but don't you fret. Dick traceless, ain't caught a bad guy yet. He's slow, he's sly, he's out of shape, but he'll solve the crime on his coffee break. Crime's no match for this pit-eyed ace. It's Dick traceless in your face. Coffee break. Crimes no match for this pit-eye ace. It's Dick traceless in your face.
Born Alexis Lee Robinault on January 25, 1994. She grew up in northwestern Pennsylvania with her parents, Michael and Stacy, and was the eldest of 3 girls. They were a close family, and by all accounts, she was very happy growing up. Alexis was clearly beautiful, but she was also very smart. According to her family, everyone loved her. They said that she seemed to be almost addicted to learning, and had a very analytical mind, and was hard-working, which would greatly benefit her later in life, as we will find out when we discuss her work life. She was a deep thinker, and she was also very motivated and committed. Her friends and family said that they had no doubt that she'd be successful in whatever she did. In high school, she played sports. She had a lot of friends, and she was also in the National Honor Society. She graduated in 2012 and went to the University of Pittsburgh to study biology, nutrition, and psychology. And she really enjoyed her time in school. She found what she was learning really interested her, which obviously helped her to succeed academically. And she was one of the top in her class when she graduated in 2016, which was helpful towards her plan of going to medical school. After college, she decided that after working so hard on her studies, she just wanted to take some time for herself and travel. And this would start with a move to Texas. So she moved to West Texas and settled in Odessa. She got a job at a Twin Peaks, a sports bar, where, let's just say, whilst trying to avoid being one of those guys, it helps if you are attractive. If you haven't heard of Twin Peaks, it's very similar to a Hooters-type restaurant, but with sports that nobody can actually focus on. She was clearly very attractive, enjoyed working there, and was good at it, so why not? She was able to be very social, which she really liked. She was able to make friends very easily, and she made quite a few friends as soon as she moved to Texas. People around her said that they were attracted to her warmth and energy, and that she was a very committed and loyal friend. Friends and colleagues noticed that Alexis was getting along well with one of Twin Peaks' regular customers named Tom Sharkey. As one of the regulars, he would come in and talk to the staff, making them laugh. Tom was 23 years older than Alexis, so there was an evident age gap, but they clicked, so they didn't let that stop them, and soon they were dating. Tom worked as a consultant in the oil field. His work life included a lot of traveling, and that was a big draw for Alexis. Alexis was using these hair care products from a company called called Monat. Monat is a pyramid scheme. Sorry, a multi-level marketing business. Recruiting independent contractors to sell their products and recruit other people to sell products, bumping you up the levels. Which is really where you make the money in a pyramid scheme, by recruiting other people to be underneath you. Monat has also had 3 class action lawsuits that were filed against them for fraud and deception. So kinda give you an idea about them. Most people that work in these type of companies or try to work in a pyramid business fail at it. However, Alexis thrived. She made a lot with Monat, and pretty quickly she started selling her products to people that she knew, people online. She started recruiting people to be underneath her, and she did very well. Within a month, she quit her job at Twin Peaks, and she's dedicated herself full-time to being a Monat salesperson and an influencer. Eventually, she worked her way up to being executive director, which makes quite a bit, according to Monat's website. In 2017, their average monthly salary for executive directors was $34,000, so over $400,000 a year. But as she started to see the money coming in thick and fast, she started to ramp up her influencer presence as well. She was posting a lot of her very perfect-looking life. She posted videos of herself traveling to the Cayman Islands, swimming with stingrays. That's not the end of the jet setting, though. Here's a clip that she posted from one of her Monat's trips. And this was in Cancun. She met a lot of friends just through being part of Monat. As you can see, she was really living it up. She was making tons of money, had tons of friends, was living this very fabulous lifestyle. And she really started posting more on her social media. She had the whole Instagram theme. She liked to refer to herself as a businesswoman or mentor. And a lot of her social media posts were about recruiting other people or convincing other people to join Monat. That's the whole thing with a pyramid success. So most of the time Alexis worked just from her phone. Her phone was basically her office. She never went anywhere without it. And she posted to her stories every few hours. A day rarely went by without Alexis posting something. So during this time, she continued to date Tom, and things were going well. By the summer of 2019, her and Tom were engaged, and they actually decided to relocate to Colorado in August and live there through the end of that year, seeing all the natural landmarks, and they documented a lot of this on YouTube. But eventually they decided to move back to Texas. And before they did, they took a 25-day road trip together through New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. There's a lot of beautiful scenes in the blog, and it looks like Alexis is happy. But that's the thing with vlogging. When bad things are happening, you don't vlog it and publicize it. Influencers paint only the perfect version of their life online, especially a lot of these Instagram influencers. But in these vlogs, they look very happy and very much in love. And in December of 2019, they ended up getting married at a courthouse in Colorado. And in early 2020, they moved back to Texas and settled down in Houston. At this time, Alexis was 26 and Tom was 49. When Alexis first got down to Houston, she wanted to make some new friends. So she joined this app called Bumble BFF to meet new friends. And this is how she meets a friend named Tanya Ricardo. Tanya was a divorced mom who was also looking for new friends at the time, and she invited Alexis to a dinner with her and her other friends. And according to Tanya, everyone loved Alexis right away. They said Alexis was friendly and upbeat and seemed like she had a good heart. And then Alexis introduced them to some of her friends from Monat, and they all got along really well. They were all supportive of each other and spent a lot of time together, and they had a group chat where they talked every day. Alexis was always known as someone in the group chat who would respond straight away, as she always had her phone on her due to work. One thing that was a little strange to the group was that Alexis didn't talk that much about Tom around them. Occasionally he would come and hang out with them and the boyfriends of the other girls, and things would be pretty normal, but most of the time, Alexis didn't talk too much about him. Then, as I'm sure you all remember far too well, the pandemic hit us all. Quarantine started, and like a lot of people, Alexis decided to join TikTok to pass her time. This was just another place for her to grow her business, grow her brand, sell Monat products, recruit new people, and also allowed her to show a little bit more of her personality. Sometimes she would post funny videos, including her girlfriends. Other times, she'd just be amusing herself with voiceovers.
So you'll just take it 3 times a day. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think my only question is, in terms of alcohol.
Definitely not.
No.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I just thought I'd ask. And my only other question is, like, what would happen?
It's so nice to finally meet a girl who's not crazy.
These are my ladies. This is Jill. This is my lady Amy. Little Susie. Brianna. You know why we call her Brianna, right? No. Yeah, it's a long story.
November 2020. Alexis started making holiday plans. Thanksgiving was coming up, and the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, she talked with her mom on the phone because she was not going home for Thanksgiving. It had actually been about a year since she had been back to Pennsylvania, so they had planned that she would return for Christmas. Her mom also noted that it was strange that Alexis wasn't visiting more often. Normally Alexis would visit as much as she could. She was very close with her family. November 26th, 2020. Thanksgiving. And that morning, Alexis and her mom texted, wishing each other happy Thanksgiving. But they didn't talk on the phone because it was a busy day, as you can expect. Alexis stayed at home that morning, and then in the evening, she went and had dinner at Tanya's house, and did not bring Tom, which is a little odd, especially as a newly married couple. Around midnight, another friend picked her up, and they went out to a bar, and stayed there until 3 a.m. She sent a text to Tanya to let her know that she was coming back to her house, where she had just had dinner that night. She had left a few things there, but Tanya was asleep due to the time, so she didn't see her text. Alexis went by the house and apparently picked up her car and went home. The next day was Black Friday. You'd imagine a pretty significant day for people like Alexis who are in MLMs. People in Monat were starting their sales posts early that morning, but not Alexis. She didn't post on social media at all, which was incredibly strange as normally she's a continuous presence online. Then, around 5:30, a text came into their friends group chat from Alexis, and she had asked what everyone was doing. She wanted to go out that night, but Tanya replied saying that she couldn't go out because her mother was in town for Thanksgiving. However, she was leaving in the morning, and the following day, they should all get together and watch movies and just have a girls' day. So they agreed that is what they would do. And the last time that anyone heard from Alexis was that night, between 6 o'clock and 6:30 p.m. in the group chat. After this, she didn't post anything new on social media. She went the entire Black Friday without posting as mentioned. A few hours later, Tom texted one of the boyfriends of Alexis's friends, named John. He asked John if they had heard from Alexis. John called Tom around 11 p.m. to talk to him about the situation, and Tom told him that Alexis was missing. According to Tom, he told him that he and Alexis got into an argument that night and that she left. Their phone call was 45 minutes, and Tom apparently explained everything that had happened that night to him. But John thought the conversation was strange. To him, something just did not seem right. Later on, Tom ended up changing his story, several times in fact. Eventually, he said that they never got into an argument, and he changed some of the other details as well. When Tom was on a call with John, he said that Alexis stormed out of their house barefoot. He also said that she was wearing running shoes and sweats. He said the last he saw her, she had climbed over the fence at their house into a black car. He also said that she may have just left on foot. In one version, he said that she left her phone behind. In another version, she had her phone with her. He said he started trying to call people to see if anyone else had heard from Alexis. Saturday, November 28th. Tanya goes on to the group chat and texts everyone to let them know that the movie day is still on. Soon the other girls started replying, suggesting what movies they should watch. However, Alexis wasn't answering the group chat, and this was strange to them. Alexis was constantly on her phone. They decided to check her social media, and when they did, they realized that she hadn't posted anything in over 12 hours, which was very unlike her. This really worried everyone in the group. They continued with their plans for the movie night, hoping that she would turn up, but she didn't, and that was a massive red flag to them. Alexis never broke plans, especially without telling people. She was not like that. So they called and texted her repeatedly, but her phone kept going to voicemail. Around 12:30 p.m., Tanya decided that she should just go over to Tom and Alexis's apartment, as they were really worried about her by this time. She knocked at the door for a while, but no one answered. So she went back to her car to decide what to do. She wondered if she should call Alexis's mom, but she didn't want to worry her, as she didn't know for certain if there was something actually wrong. After weighing everything up, she realized something untoward was definitely going on, and she needed to tell her mom. When she called Stacy, Stacy had already talked to Tom and knew everything. Tom had been spending most of that Saturday calling Alexis's friends, asking if anyone had seen her. Whilst he talked to these people, he told a few of them about that argument that they had had. However, all her friends kept confirming that no one had picked up Alexis, no one drove a black car, and Alexis hadn't called anyone for a ride. Later that day, sometime before 9 p.m., her friends decided to file a missing persons report with the police. Stacy and all of Alexis's friends started posting on social media about Alexis, trying to raise awareness that she was missing. Sadly, what they didn't know was, as they were posting and trying to spread awareness, was that a body had been found that morning, only 3 or 4 miles away from Alexis and Tom's apartment. This body was actually found by city workers, and when they first saw her, she was just placed on the side of a road on Interstate 10, about 17 miles west of downtown Houston. She was just laying there. She was described as being really clean, naked, and looked as if she had just gotten out of a bath. The way she was positioned on the ground was really odd, so odd that the workers actually thought that she was a mannequin. The driver who saw the body originally didn't stop, but he had a weird feeling that he should report it. So he called his supervisor and asked him to check out. The supervisor drove to the service road, located the body, and right away, he saw feet sticking out, is how he described it.
So as we was driving, we could see the feet, so we got out and looked, and there it was. She was laying there, deceased. She was no clothes on, and I just got on the phone and I called 911.
It's a nude female, and that's all we have. We don't have any information on her yet, so if anybody knows her, give us a call.
She was found completely naked. There was no purse, no shoes, no phone, nothing to help with identifying them. And they believed that she had been left there overnight. The person hadn't been hidden, and it definitely didn't look like they tried to cover her up or hide her. At this point, her family still did not know that this was Alexis's body. They were still holding on to hope that maybe she was alive because her phone was still on. In the meantime, Tom had been brought in to identify her body and confirm that it was his wife, Alexis Sharkey. Later in the day, they told her friends and family that she had been found. All the posts switched to memorial posts, and the news channels started reporting on what they knew to the public.
1 week ago, the body of 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey was found. Janelle Buddha spoke with the city employee who found her body and the mother who's desperate for answers.
For John Richardson, it's a Saturday morning he'll never forget.
It plays back in my head. You know, it's been playing back in my head every day.
He was at work for the City of Houston Solid Waste when Richardson says he got a call from an employee.
He said he thought he seen a body or a mannequin, so he wasn't for sure. He wasn't going to stop because he was kind of, gnawed it. He was scared or whatever the case may be. So he asked me to come out there and check it out.
So as his supervisor, Richardson went to check it out and still can't believe what they found.
As we was driving, we could see the feet, so we got out and looked. And there it was. She was laying there, deceased. She was with no clothes on. And I just got on the phone and I called 911.
What Richardson didn't realize at the time, the body he had just discovered was 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey.
She was a beautiful, fun ray of light to be around, and I can't understand it.
Her mom, Stacy Robinall, spoke to us by phone.
I think that's why it's so surreal for the family, because we cannot grasp on why harm would be done to her.
Saying even though it's been agonizing,
we're just trapped in the waiting.
They're just waiting for police to do their work.
I talk to the detectives every day, and they assure me that they are, working along and that they are reviewing and talking to people. And so I know that they're working along. To me, 5 days feels like an eternity, and to them, I'm sure they're just, getting rolling.
Police still have not determined a cause of death in the case, but in her heart, Robinall fully believes someone did this to her daughter.
Stacy also made this post. She said, "It's with deeply broken hearts that Mike, and I want to let you all know that Lexi's body has been found. We cannot begin to thank you for all your love and the kind words you've extended to our family. Please give us the time to grieve this incredible loss to our family and this world. We will miss you, love." There was no sign of trauma and no visible wounds at all on Alexis's body, so at first the police weren't even referring to this as a murder investigation. They must have had a spate of naked women going for a walk, getting tired, having a little lay down before dying of natural causes in Houston. The story started gaining a lot of media attention straight away, especially because of her social media presence. They interviewed her friends and her mom, and everyone seemed positive that someone did this to her.
What is justice in this case? Do you believe that she was murdered?
I do. I do believe she was murdered, yes. From what I've been able to gather, as well as a mother's gut. I learned very young as a mom to trust my gut. And it's not let me down.
The Instagram influencer who was found dead on the side of a Texas road last year was strangled, according to an autopsy. 26-year-old Alexis Sharkey's nude body was found by Houston city workers 2 days after Thanksgiving. At the time, investigators said there were no visible injuries, but her case has since been classified as a homicide.
She was so fun and she brought such joy.
In December, Sharkey's mother told Inside Edition that she learned of her daughter's disappearance from her son-in-law, Tom Sharkey. He and Alexis had been married for less than a year.
He said that she's missing, that no one knows where she's at. And at that point, friends began to call as well. I mean, everybody was frantic.
No one has been charged in this case. Sharkey had tens of thousands of followers on Instagram, where she billed herself as a mentor and a promoter of toxic-free beauty products.
I cleansed my skin last night.
While her loved ones know how she died, they now await an arrest and eventual justice.
Then things started coming out about her relationship with Tom. Her friend said that Alexis was talking about how bad their marriage was. Not only that, she claims that Alexis told her that she was scared for her life.
I looked at her and I was like, she's petrified. This girl is scared for her life.
But her friend wouldn't say anything more in the interview. Eventually, it came out that Alexis was planning to divorce Tom. Friends have claimed that they had already split their bank accounts before she went missing, and there were papers already drawn up, just waiting to be signed. And knowing that information definitely changes things. One thing that her friends and family just could not shake with Tom is that his story kept changing. They couldn't figure out what actually happened. Tom had been cooperative with the investigation, according to the police. Although this did nothing to stem the flow of accusatory glances aimed in his direction. Reports about Tom having strangled Alexis in the past had already spread, and the fact that the cause of death had been strangulation only made people more suspicious of him. The coroner used Alexis's maiden name on her death certificate, but listed Tom as next of kin, ultimately giving him full control over her body. After seeming to be receptive to Alexis's family's wishes, he suddenly cut off all contact with them and didn't even make personal arrangements for her collection so she could be laid to rest. The family had to fight for the release of Alexis to their custody. The family managed to take their daughter home and hold an intimate memorial service in Pennsylvania with her family and select friends. Tom was not in attendance at the family's request, and I'm sure that's understandable to every single person watching this video. I certainly wouldn't invite the person I suspected of harming my daughter, who left her in a morgue for 2 months and prevented her burial. Tom would claim that he felt disrespected by Stacy and Alexis's friends and felt like they were blaming him for Alexis's death. Although nobody publicly accused him from her friends and family. Public court of opinion, however. Well, that didn't pull its punches. He left Texas and moved to Georgia without telling anyone. Before Tom moved, he'd been asked to give a sample of his DNA to the detectives working the case in order to rule him out. He agreed that he would submit a sample at the time, but before he did, he said he needed to talk to his lawyer. Now, unless his lawyer was in Georgia, something wasn't adding up. The police were able to track him down and arrange for them to meet, only for him to once again leave the state. He came up with a very bizarre story later on why he essentially disappeared, and then a short time after that incident, he relocated to Florida. Detectives said every time he would talk to the police, he would come up with other suspects who he believed could be involved, including Alexis's friends and their boyfriends, but they all willingly gave their DNA and cooperated with the investigation. Meanwhile, Tom continued to evade the police. He moved every couple of months. October 2021, the Houston police had gone over every line of inquiry. They ruled out every one, and they found that the only person who had the means, motive, and opportunity to kill Alexis was Tom. They got themselves an arrest warrant and made arrangements to pay Tom a little visit where he was living in Florida. Things wouldn't go as planned, though. I'll just let the Houston police take you to the finish line.
This was a lengthy investigation. Our evidence determined that Ms. Sharkey was killed on the night of November 27th, 2020. Her body was found the following morning. The investigation determined that Thomas Sharkey, her husband, is the only person who had the means, motive, and opportunity to have committed the murder. We were able to eliminate other suspects that came up, some of which were brought up by Mr. Sharkey. We established that there was a history of domestic violence between the two of them, and that the relationship was ending, and that there was a pending divorce. There was also clear evidence that Thomas Sharkey had not been truthful about several key issues and statements that he made to police. Over time, we were able to develop enough evidence to have probable cause to get an arrest warrant and to charge him with her murder. An arrest warrant was obtained for Thomas Sharkey on September 29th, 2021. Because of the high-profile nature of the case and because Mr. Sharkey had been evasive with us throughout much of our time, we went very quietly about obtaining the arrest warrant, but the intent was, once he was arrested, to formally charge him in Harris County with her murder. We contacted the Gulf Coast Violent Offenders Task Force to assist us in locating Mr. Sharkey. They developed leads that he was located in Fort Myers, Florida, and they contacted the Marshals Fugitive Task Force in that area. That task force, U.S. Marshals, located Mr. Sharkey staying with a relative in Fort Myers at approximately 10 p.m. last night. They were able to make contact and establish that he was inside the residence. Mr. Sharkey avoided them, ran upstairs when he learned that law enforcement was there for him, and he took his own life using a firearm. His identity was confirmed by the relative that was on scene, by the arresting officers who had been looking for him, and by official identification that he had in his possession. The Lee County Sheriff's Office in Florida is conducting the death investigation of Mr. Sharkey. I would like to emphasize that this has been a very tragic series of events for both families, the Robinalls and the Sharkeys. They've been through hell, essentially, with the attention of the public on this case. I want to put out there that no one else is suspected of any involvement in the case, and no one else is under investigation in the case. We have clear evidence that Mr. Sharkey acted alone. Both families are composed of innocent people who have been through a lot and are in pain, especially the Sharkeys right now, his family. I would ask that people give both families their privacy and space to grieve. The family of Mr. Sharkey did not know that he was wanted in the case at the time, as we were able to keep the warrant secret. Mr. Sharkey also did not know that he was wanted until last night when he was confronted by law enforcement. And at that point, I'll open it up to any questions.
Can you describe how he was being evasive to authorities?
Well, he left the state not long after the homicide, and especially here recently, detectives made efforts to meet with him in order to collect a DNA sample from him. He agreed to do that. He was living in Georgia at the time, and detectives went to Georgia to try and obtain his DNA sample, and suddenly he no-showed, dropped out of contact, came up with a very bizarre story later on about why he had essentially disappeared. And then a short time after that incident, he relocated to Florida.
When exactly did you request the DNA? When was that supposed to happen in Georgia?
That was supposed to happen, I believe, end of July. Early August of this year. We had been making efforts to get him to meet with us to provide that sample for some time. That was just finally the time that he agreed that a detective could meet him in Georgia to obtain the sample.
So what was the tipping point where you said, this is the person who you believe killed Alexis Sharkey?
There was no one bombshell piece of evidence that suddenly shifted everything in our favor. Like I said, the investigation was very lengthy. There's a lot of different pieces of circumstantial evidence, a lot of things that we had to comb through. Mr. Sharkey's behavior and our conversations with him over time and evolving stories and the ability to disprove stories, that took time, and eventually the mountain of evidence essentially just became high enough.
But did you wait too late?
No.
You don't think you waited too late?
No.
The goal would have been to get him alive, obviously, perhaps.
Of course, but we don't really have any control over his actions in that scenario.
It took almost a year.
Yes, like I said, it was a detailed, lengthy investigation. There was a lot of various theories and conspiracy theories that came up that we had to look into and disprove. There was alternative suspects presented, including people that were presented by Mr. Sharkey that we had to investigate. So no, we weren't able to move on an arrest until we were able to get to a point that we had eliminated sufficiently those other possibilities and built enough evidence to have a case that could not only arrest and charge but convict.
Can you expand on the conspiracy theories? Was this only from Sharkey? Was it from people like on social media?
Yeah, I mean, because of the high-profile nature of the case, there was various tips that come in. There's also, family members that are trying to help, and they provide information from things that they saw on a chat board or, on Instagram. And then, like I said, Mr. Sharkey himself, in his explanation of what happened, provided a suspect description of somebody that he claimed to have seen Ms. Sharkey leaving with.
At age 26, Alexis Sharkey lost her life to murder, strangled. The woman's body left on the side of West Houston Road. Her mother, Stacy Robinot, told me her family always suspected Alexis's husband.
Well, I will admit that we have felt that Tom was guilty of this from pretty much the beginning.
Tom Sharkey died by suicide in Fort Myers, Florida this week as federal agents went to arrest him for his wife's 2020 killing.
Are you surprised that he ended his life?
Yes, I am. I just really thought that it would end with a trial and that he would come in and make his case. And he chose to not go that way.
In a lengthy, honest conversation, Robinold told me from her Pennsylvania home, it's been a painful year.
Loss of life it's never good. But I do feel like, in a way, he did serve himself justice.
What's even more upsetting, Alexis's family still doesn't have her belongings, including her 3 pets, back.
We begged him for her cats because they were like her children, and we just wanted to have something. Sorry. We just wanted to have something of hers.
Sharkey, who often took to Instagram to share her own life, also shared her love for her cats online. On this IG account, you can see her beloved brown Bengal named Asia and her gray cat named Smokey.
Nothing. It's all gone. It was all taken from the apartment. It was, we asked Tom for it many times, and he would tell us that, I'll get it to you. I'm going through it. And then he ghosted us, and we have no idea where any of it's at.
Robinold said apartment management told her Tom's friends cleaned out the unit shortly after he fled Houston. She'd love to have her daughter's items back, saying it'd be something after such a heartbreaking 10 months.
I'm super sorry for Tom's family. It's just such senseless loss that has happened with my daughter, and then him. I'm just sorry for all of that. It's just beyond. It's been a horrific year.
HPD says this murder case will likely be closed soon, now that Tom Sharkey, the one and only suspect, is dead.
If you or someone you know is in a situation of domestic violence, help is available. Contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.